Okay, so let's dive right into a massive solar system mystery. You've got two planets, Earth and Mars, right next to each other. One is just bursting with life, and the other is a completely dead wasteland. How did their stories end up so differently? Well, the answer might just be an invisible shield, a concept that was described in a pretty surprising place about 1400 years ago.
I mean, the difference is just staggering, right? On one side, you have Earth, blue, green, totally alive. And then you look at its next door neighbor, Mars, red, dusty, and completely sterile. You really couldn't get a more extreme contrast. They're practically in the same neighborhood, cosmically speaking, but their fates couldn't be more different.
So you have to ask, what was the one critical difference? What was the secret ingredient that allowed Earth to flourish while its neighbors suffered, well, a total planetary death? What on earth went so wrong for Mars?
Ironically, the biggest threat comes from the very thing that gives us life, our sun. Yeah, it gives us light and warmth, but it's also a pretty violent star. It is constantly shooting out something called the solar wind, which is basically a hurricane of charged particles and deadly radiation. And this stuff is powerful enough to literally strip a planet's atmosphere right off and sterilize the surface. Without some kind of protection, a planet is a sitting duck.
Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. There's a clue found in the Quran, a text from about 1400 years ago. It says, "And we made the sky a ceiling protected." Now, that might just sound like poetry, but when you dig into the original Arabic words, the details are absolutely fascinating.
So let's break it down. The first key word here is Saqfan. Now, in Arabic, this one's pretty straightforward. It just means a roof, a canopy, a ceiling, basically something that's above you and provides cover. So the sky is like a roof. Simple enough? But hold on, because it's the next word that changes everything. And that word is Mahfuzan. Now, this doesn't just mean strong or sturdy. This is an active word. It implies a function. It means something is being actively guarded, preserved, and shielded from some kind of outside threat. So this isn't describing just a static ceiling. It's describing a ceiling that's performing a defensive job. So what is this protection it's talking about? Let's switch over to the science and see how this ancient description lines up with what we know today about our planet's very survival. We're going to talk about Earth's invisible shield. So here's the science. Deep, deep inside our planet, there's a swirling core of molten iron that acts like a gigantic engine, a dynamo. This spinning engine generates a massive magnetic field that wraps around the entire planet. We call it the magnetosphere. And inside that field, you've got the Van Allen radiation belts, which add another layer of defense. Put it all together, and what you have is an incredibly powerful, multi-layered, and totally invisible shield. So let me walk you through how it works. The sun unleashes its solar wind. This stream of lethal radiation comes hurtling toward Earth. But just as it gets close, our magnetic field kicks into action. It's like a sci-fi force field. It catches all those harmful particles and just deflects them, funneling them safely around our planet. The result? Our atmosphere stays intact, and all the life down here on the surface is kept safe. Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. A skeptic might say, hold on, isn't this all just a metaphor? Maybe ancient people were just describing the sky as, a solid dome that wouldn't fall on their heads. It's a fair question, so let's actually look at that argument. So the skeptic's view says protected just means sturdy, but the counter-argument brings us right back to Mars. You see, Mars has a sky, it has an atmosphere, but it isn't mahfuz, it's not protected. Mars lost its magnetic field, its atmosphere was blasted away by the sun, and the planet died. This tells us that the protection itself is the critical thing for life, not just having a sky to begin with. And there's another point from the Quran itself that kind of sinks the whole fear of collapse idea. In another verse, it says God holds the sky up without any pillars that you can see. So if the text is saying the sky isn't going to collapse, then what exactly is it being protected from? It has to be a different kind of danger, an invisible one, like solar radiation. And this brings us right to the heart of it. Everything comes back to that one crucial descriptive word. The reason you and I are here today is because our planet isn't just a planet with a sky, it is quite literally a protected planet. So here's the bottom line. Just having a sky isn't enough to support life. Mars is the ultimate proof of that. You need a protected sky. Earth is thriving and Mars is a dead, sterile rock because of this one defining difference, our active, life-saving, invisible shield. And this quote just nails it perfectly. Mars isn't just some other planet out there. It's a cautionary tale.
It is a giant red warning sign of exactly what happens when a planet's protective roof fails and leaves it totally exposed to the fury of its star. I mean, when you step back and really think about that, it's pretty stunning. We're talking about a text from over 1,000 years ago that used a very specific, very functional word, protected, that perfectly describes our planet's most critical survival feature, a feature we didn't even know we had, let alone needed, until well into the modern scientific era. And the verse ends with this really provocative thought. After describing this perfect system of protection, it observes that people, from its signs, are turning away. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are we missing when we look up at the sky? What other incredible signs are hiding right there in plain sight?